This is Charlie Parsons for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. I am joined this Thursday evening. Gareth A. Davies' Monday Club went into oblivion a long, long time ago. We're both jet lagged off the back of Los Angeles. I only got back last night. I stayed for the Canelo-Belanga press conference, which was fiery. We will get into that. But firstly, off the back of an incredible week, the first Riyadh season show abroad. How are we, geez?
I'm good. I'm powered by Costa Coffee tonight. Well, like you, I'm in the upside. Okay, of course, I'm in the upside down emoji right now, jet lagged like you, and it's a lot of people have suffered a lot of jet lag on this trip, but it's because we had a very late night in Los Angeles, probably 2 hours later than we normally go, and then there was a lot of work to do, so you weren't really in bed till getting close to 10 a.m. UK time, just as you were adjusting with 5 or 6 days out there. What an iconic week it was. Absolute pleasure to be there. Like you say, to record historically the first Riyadh season event outside the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. A who's who all week. It was overwhelming. I saw so many friends from so long ago. From Artie Palulo, who you probably don't even know, one of the promoters in America, Leon Margolis, Hassim Rahman, watching him play Connect Four, Hassim Rahman's son, Doc Holliday, Don King's number two. It goes on and on and on. So many people. Greg, the CEO, Bare Knuckle, so many people who I bumped into in that fight hotel. I mean, I was staying in Beverly Hills and that was downtown. I don't know what I would have been able to do if I'd been there every day because there were so many conversations to be had all the time. I mean, I mentioned 8 people out of about 40 there I hadn't seen for a few
Oh,
years.
Gareth, it was nuts. Every time you went down to the lobby, there'd be a different face.
Yeah, but imagine you've been in this 3 or 4 years doing it. You claim 7, I know, um, but
Main
then
five.
5, you claim 5. But at that point, I mean, God, I mean, you were knee height to a grasshopper, and
I still am.
you said that, not me. I'm not on here to abuse anybody or hurt their feelings or any of that stuff. I just watched the Daley Thompson documentary, by the way, worth watching. One of the greatest athletes and men I'll ever know in sports. And man, he didn't hold back when he was having a go at people. And that came out in the doc. The reason I mentioned him is I went to Morocco with him and Marvin Hagler once, and I was just marveling at it that I'd played basketball with those two against a group of girls when gender issues are really out there at the moment. And no, it was incredible. It was, imagine you in 20 years' time going to America and you hadn't seen quite a few people for a couple of years and you just keep bumping into people and you keep embracing and you keep, and that happened, started on Santa Monica Pier on the Wednesday night, through the press conference on Thursday, to the weigh-in at LA Live, where the fans over there, by the way, in LA, the Mexican fans,
Brilliant.
particularly Mexican, Puerto Rican fans, Latin American fans, the African American fans, they really, we talk about British fans being amazing. We were around an amazing group of fans, particularly Friday and Saturday, I thought. And it was so pleasurable to talk to so many people about their delight at being there and being involved in that event. From a guy called Leo who brought his family from not sure from where. It was him and his wife and his 3 kids. He'd come over, Mexican, loads of people who kind of, we think of ourselves as quite British centric. I know we're a global sport, but it's amazing how many people over in America follow what we do as well, isn't it?
Well, Gareth, it's funny you say that, but I feel like, and I actually had this conversation with Oscar ringside, and you don't ever want to compare fans, but I feel like whenever I'm at a show in Southern California or Vegas, that real hardcore love for the sport comes out that maybe we don't see as prominently in shows in the UK.
Yeah, and we don't see them in Vegas either because there's a lot of traveling people. There's the Mexican base, the Mexican and African American base for boxing, particularly in California, is enormous. I mean, I know Phoenix is becoming oh my God, who's that? Is that hello?
That is
Hell,
my
the old ears are up.
yeah.
The ears are up.
Let's see.
Um,
There we are.
hello. Hello, not interested. But the I know Phoenix is growing. There's pockets of it around America. Obviously, New York's a big area, but there is enormous support, and I think even though I heard a little bit of negativity in the American media towards the event, the way it was organized, how it was staged, why it was too slow, etc., etc. I think overall the event was an enormous success. Yes, it dragged a little bit, but once Eminem came on, you really did feel like, oh, this is a where were you when moment. You know, it really did feel like that. And obviously, the main event didn't deliver for the casual fan, but it really delivered in terms of an absorbing top level boxing match of hit and not be hit, in which we maybe discovered something about Terence Crawford that's come out of it that relates to Saul Canelo Alvarez, and to bigger fighters, but heavier fighters.
Well, Gareth, I sat next to you and we both scored it next to each other. I believe, did you have it one for Madrimov or a draw?
No, I had it a draw after 11.
Yeah.
105, I've got it here, I'll tell you. I had it 105, 105 going into the 12th round, and I gave the last round to Terence.
Okay, so we both had Crawford by one.
You did. Yeah, yeah, we both had Crawford by one. I've got this here. Let me just read it out because a lot of people are interested in everyone's cards on this. Oh, God, whenever you want to find it. I've got it here. Right. I had it 10-10 the first round. I know people don't like 10-10s. I could not split them.
10-10 if there's a real cagey round and nothing much goes on.
What do they land? A glancing blow each in the first round. I had Crawford winning 2-4, 2-3-4. Madrimov winning 5 and 6. Crawford winning the next one. Madrimov coming back then. And at that point, it was 77-76 after 8 rounds. Madrimov winning the 9th. Madrimov winning the 10th. Crawford winning the 11th. And Crawford winning the last round. So close. So after 10, I had Madrimov 1 up. It was very close. And you know, you were there at the post-fight press conference, I think. I said to Madrimov, do you not think looking back that you were too patient in the fight?
Gareth, I was a bit surprised by Madrimov afterwards. I mean, I interviewed him and I said to him, I said, look, not meaning to be disrespectful, but look, you've got Eddie Hearn who's coming on an outburst saying that, like, not that we were robbed, but we don't feel that we were given the credit we deserve. I feel like I'm speaking to you now and you don't feel hard done by. He didn't seem enraged. Joel Diaz, his trainer, was furious. He gave us a quote. He said, I want to go and punch the judges in the face. Madrimov didn't have that same sort of spite and upset about him.
I think a lot is lost in track. He's a great gentleman. He's a very, very contained man, and he showed that in the patient exposition of his style against Terence Crawford. Eddie also admitted at the post-fight press conference that he thought 116, 112 was 2 of the cards, 8-4. There were swing rounds in that fight. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I haven't analysed all 3 judges' cards together yet, and I will at some point. But it wouldn't have surprised me if one of the judges had just scored it for Madrimov. But there's this kind of tacit understanding, I think, which is, it's like an incompetence at times, that the way Terence is talked up, no one ever believed Madrimov was going to take him to the limit, which he did. And I think you could argue, and Bomac will argue. The first thing he said, by the way, Bomac, at the post-fight press conference, he had a little conference on his own, was phew. Like, thank God we just got through that. And he did just get through it. I think with Madrimov, it's lost in translation. As I said, Eddie thought it was 2 cards, 116, 112. It was a very, very 15-13 is a very close fight anyway.
Yeah.
It's only 1 round swing. So I think 1 round swing makes it a draw. I think there's a lot of it lost in translation with Madrimov because Vadim Kornilov, his manager, translates for him.
We actually had an Uzbek translator for our interview.
And did that make any difference? Did
It
you get
wasn't
deeper
Vadim.
answers? Did you
No,
get
no,
deep?
no, 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 it didn't. But
No, Vadim does it in Russian with him, doesn't he?
yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
get it in his second language as well at press conferences. So did you get deeper with him in Uzbek?
I tried to, but that's where I sort of said to him, look, excuse my. That's why I said I don't mean to sound.
Excuse your poor Uzbek. Do you not speak
Yeah,
good Uzbek then?
yeah. I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but you just don't seem as hurt as I expected. And he said he wasn't, and that surprised me.
I think he was probably very proud of his performance
Yeah,
because that it really feels to me like Charlie that they could have a second fight and it would be fascinating, and they'd start off from those 12 rounds we've already had, and I think there might be a lot more action in the second fight. They would pause again and try and work each other out, but it was a razor tight fight between two guys who were very, very well matched. It shows how good Madrimov's going to be by the time his career is over. It wouldn't surprise me to see him win a world title and even become an undisputed at that weight, or even move up to middleweight. But I think the big question, and it's been the debate all week, and we've seen His Excellency Turki Alalshikh and Saul Canelo Alvarez going at it, is Crawford big enough to take on Canelo? I was a big advocate of that fight, fantasy fight.
I never liked
Still
it.
like to see it. You didn't, but I do think that Canelo might be a size too far, given the elite nature of Terence fighting Canelo at an elite level, a pound for pound star, modern great. If you picked and chose cleverly a super middleweight for him, it might work. But Canelo, I'm not so sure. 6 weight divisions coming up from lightweight for Crawford, from and at the very elite level, it might just be a step too far. And I understand why the rows have occurred, or at least the back and forth has occurred this week between Turki Alalshikh, the minister for the GEA, or the chairman of the GEA, and Riyadh DAZN, and Canelo.
Well, Gareth, we will go into that. I feel like there's so much to recap. So just before we move on to the madness that was Canelo Belanga press conference, because I never expected it to get as crazy as it did in there in that hotel room on Tuesday. Let's do a little recap of the card. I've been calling it for a long time. Jose El Valenzuela with a victory against Isaac Cruz. He was booed by the crowd, but we know there was a strong pit bull following in there. A lot of people thought the rightful winner. I did myself. We had Martin Bakole smash through Jared Anderson, which, in all honesty, a lot of people also predicted. And then a bit of a strange decision between Jarrell Miller and Andy Ruiz, where a lot of people thought Jarrell won. Your recap on the night's action and those 3 fights?
Thought Jarrell was very impressive. He looked better at the weight, 45 pounds lighter. Glad to see him in redemption mode. I thought he won by 2 rounds. Very close fight, but I thought he won by 2 rounds. 2 big sofas hitting each other, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
That's how I described it, or a bed, or a queen-size bed and a sofa colliding. And I mean that respectfully. I love both guys, but I thought Jarrell won that. Hats off to Jose Valenzuela Rayo. Thought it was a terrific performance. Told him afterwards, very mature. They'd cleverly worked out what Pitbull was going to do, and they stuck to their game plan, which was hitting him on the way in, not being fearful of his punches. I thought it was a tremendous performance. I thought he won by a couple of rounds, and I thought he's going to go on to bigger and better things. As for the Bakole performance, he just looked like big old George Foreman in there.
Didn't
and
he?
he's moved himself into the top 10 of the heavyweight division. There's massive fights out there for him.
Him and Billy Nelson are in Congo at the minute doing a visit. I think very deservedly so.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's good. And, King Kong, they're now calling him King Congo. And they should, because this is a guy that he's wrecked the hopes of the American standings in the heavyweight division. He took it brilliantly to Jared Anderson, who I thought looked up for it all week, but he really got his nose upended. He got his career upended by a very patient Bakole, who just stood in front of him and let his hands go. And he will do that with everyone now. I'm salivating at the thought of Bakole against Zhile Zhang.
Oh, great.
Joseph Parker would have to watch out for him. Bakole could go on and become a world champion from this point because he's got the power. I think he might even beat a Usyk. I mean, you know, he's got tremendous prospects ahead of him, and no one in the heavyweight division, the top 6-7, will fancy facing him right now. But I think it'll be Big Bang Zhang next.
That is a great fight, and the one that we'll see on another Riyadh season card. I suppose, firstly, before we talk about the Canelo's back and forth with His Excellency Turki Alalshikh, let's talk about the press conference for the Belanga fight. We saw in New York, Edgar's hometown, he said, look, I want to take my top off. This is my territory. But it was quite respectful between the two. I don't know what happened overnight because I sat there and I don't know what I expected. But the Edgar Belanga I got in the interview was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he was furious. I mean, his old man saying, F you, motherfucker, suck my dick. Edgar Belanga furious afterwards, quoting that Canelo is an effing bitch. I mean, it really, really went off in there. What did you make of it all?
Well, I thought Canelo has become a past master now of winding people up. And I think he wound up Belanga with the comments, Caleb Plant, who stood up, who would have been sitting near you, saying, don't worry, bro, I'll look after him. I'll sort him out for you when I meet him on September the 14th. I thought Canelo mentally was terrific. Yeah, and all the hand signals and Belanga getting more and more, if I do that with my hand, getting more and more and more wound up.
Yeah.
And in Spanish, he was really kicking into him, Canelo was. He was really giving him proper insults. And he went on some podcasts afterwards and he was practicing saying motherfucker and all these kind of things. I don't know if you saw that. Canelo's personality is really coming out now that he's more confident in English. I mean, years ago, I used to just speak to him in Spanish to make him feel more comfortable. But I think he endears himself to the fans now by speaking in English as well. And I thought he controlled the press conference brilliantly. My big issue is I just don't think he'll have any problems with Belanga. I think it'll be as easy a victory as it was against Jaime Munguia. And they're going up against...
though?
Yeah, it sold it. It definitely sold it. The problem they've got, though, Charlie, is they're going up at... I don't know if they're going to...
Up against UFC at the Sphere.
Yeah, the Noche event at the Sphere, and I probably will head out for that.
Sphere event?
I probably will head out if I can. Yeah, it's going to be a big
report on both, though, right?
Yeah, a report on both. Go to a bit of both all week, but again, it's the first Riyadh season UFC event, and worth being there. It's going to be a massive card. I think Conor McGregor even chimed in on the fact they've made a bit of a mistake going up against UFC 306. It's going to be a spectacular week. And I think all eyes are going to be on Vegas all week. We've got to be there, my brother. We've got to be there from the 10th to the 14th and then come back on the 15th and get stuck into Anthony Joshua against Daniel Dubois for basically back-to-back major fight nights, both involving Riyadh season.
It will be Oscar with you out in Vegas. I am in Amsterdam. I booked it before the fight was announced, unfortunately. I say unfortunately.
Say no more.
Nothing unfortunate about being in the dam.
You're going with your mum? You're going on holiday with your mum?
I am not doing that. I'm going with my friends.
Okay, good one.
Thank you, mate.
No doobies on the beach. Yeah?
No doobies on the beach.
He's told you, and he's right about that. No doobies on the beach under Santa Monica Pier.
Gareth, it all started with Turkey saying that they would eat Canelo on the UFC night at the Sphere. Then obviously there was so much about Canelo Crawford. Canelo was a little bit dismissive. He said that His Excellency and the team had asked to meet them. Canelo said, no, I won't do it when I've got a fight coming up. I'm happy to meet them after. I respect him. And then it all sort of took off when His Excellency put out a post saying that Canelo is ducking Benavidez and ducking Terence Crawford, and that he's got a contingency plan for fighters in the US, Canelo not being one of them. But Eddie Hearn has said all along throughout this is Canelo gives really bullish figures, and Canelo will not be dictated to by anyone. Now, go on.
Go on, finish your question.
Well, no, I was just going to say it's interesting, really, because it's the first time we've actually seen it. I don't want to say stand up to it because what we're standing up to is some great business opportunities and fights. But it's the first time that His Excellency's been challenged, if you'd like.
Yeah, well, Canelo doesn't really. I mean, he's so wealthy. He's in such a powerful position. He doesn't have to take the Crawford fight under the auspices of Riyadh Season and HE. That's a. He doesn't need to fight Terence Crawford. It doesn't complete his legacy. It's a fun fight, and he's right to think it's a commercial fight. 150 million is too much, in my view, for that fight.
Yeah.
It doesn't generate kind of numbers to merit that kind of
Definitely off the back of
maybe
Crawford.
50 million.
Yeah.
50 million, I would have said. But and that's all fine. That's one thing, and that's our fantasy fight. And also, even before the contretemps between HE and Canelo this week, HE had said on Sunday night, I'm not sure. Sorry about the alarm going off. I'll tickle it in a minute.
Can't even hear it, Gareth.
Oh, good. Okay. That I think I think HE had decided. I don't know if there'd been some back and forth already, and that they'd spoken, and HE had pulled out. But he's been doing business publicly, and he's been very smart with it. He's putting Canelo out there, and then he delivered the 10-8 round by saying, "You're running away from Benavidez." And for one of the most influential people in boxing right now, which he has become, maybe the most influential individual figure, more influential than Canelo is, really, to say, yeah, but you're avoiding Benavidez to taking these easy money fights. I thought that was a 10-8 round for His Excellency. Clear 10-8 round. And what it is, it'll draw Canelo out because he won't like that inside. Everybody knows he should fight Benavidez. We also know that behind the scenes, the Saudi Arabians, Riyadh Season, would happily get behind Canelo and Benavidez because that really is a big fight. And what he's done is he's drawn Canelo out, and Canelo saying Benavidez is going to be a lot heavier than me when I fight him. And yeah, I think we're seeing the knockings of the end of Canelo's career, where he wants to kind of manufacture it, if you like. Again, Belanga and Mike Munguia are very similar. I don't deny Belanga the opportunity because he's there in the rankings and he deserves it. But at this point, and this happened with Floyd Mayweather at the end, when he was fighting Andre Berto or Conor McGregor, he was just looking to round off his career to 50-0. And maybe Canelo's doing the same. There's no way he's going to sail out into the sunset taking a beating from Jose Benavidez, you know. But again, business is going on in front of us. It's what HE does. He's prodding, he's poking, he's doing all those things in plain sight. I think it'll draw Canelo out, and I think we'll get Canelo Benavidez next year, but for big money. Big money, maybe for the 150, not for Crawford, but we might get the $100 million he might get to fight Benavidez, you know.
Do you think
makes sense, doesn't it?
Do you think for Crawford we could see Boots now?
Yeah, I do think so. I do think. I think Boots is the logical step. Undefeated in whatever it is, 31, 32. Terence undefeated in 40, nearly 75 fights undefeated between them. They can call it undefeated like they did with Mayweather and Hatton all those years ago when they had 80-odd fights between them, undefeated. Yeah, I think Boots works. I mean, or I'd love to have seen Crawford against like a Chris Eubank, for example. That would have worked for me as well. Get Crawford over to the UK to fight. Get him on a big card. Get him on a big Riyadh Season card. You know, that October 12th card with the undisputed light heavyweight title with Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol is open. And I'm hearing, by the way, that there are some major matchups on that card that will not disappoint. I don't know. I can't reveal any of that, but he probably will be. But, you know, but he's going to be on one of these big cards soon, because we know that Ben Shalom and Boxer are now working hand in hand, hand in glove, if you like, pardon the expression, with Spencer Brown, with Frank and Eddie, and with Riyadh Season. I think, I don't know if you were there, I said to Eddie on Saturday night at the post-fight press conference where he's trying to take a dig at me, as he usually does. that in an amusing way, to be fair to him. And he was tremendous last week, by the way, Eddie. I thought his promotional skills last week were extraordinary. I really do think he was brilliant last week. I said to Eddie, are we in a golden age? And I always say to you, pinch yourself, because we've been through years and years where we didn't get big fight nights. The big names weren't being matched together. Every fight we want to see will happen right now. Yeah, we're not going to see Naoya Inoue against Gervonta Davis, which is probably what Crawford against Canelo is if Canelo's weighing 175. But we can dream, and we can dream of it because, you know, there's the funding there to make it happen and the aptitude to make it happen. But there are weight divisions for a reason. And I get the feeling that Crawford, the ship's just sailed for Crawford and Canelo.
Terence Crawford's come out and said that Eddie Hearn's disrespectful to say that they were using their name to promote the fight. A lot of people are saying it's just British sarcasm, which it definitely, I think, is with Eddie. And you look at the face-off with the two of them, and he's going, "I can beat you at anything. I can beat you at darts." It's just Eddie being Eddie, right? Or disrespect.
No, I think they're both playing the game now together. What I like is that Terence has now come out. And I said it to, I don't know if I said it to you during the week, last week, and I said this as well. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was an absolute pleasure to meet his mother and father, by the way, last week. And I met his dad playing cards with his uncle in the JW Marriott. I met his mum at the weigh-in. If you remember, Terence's mum beat him as a child. You know, and he thanks her, and she was the making of him in lots of ways. She was a very strict mum, and she was a very tough mum, but there's an enormous amount of love there. It was so nice to speak to her. She mistook me from someone from a rock band. She did. I had to. Yeah,
didn't surprise me, Gareth.
But no, but it was quite funny because I had a funny, and I wanted to thank her for what she'd done for Terence, because a lot of people probably wouldn't say that to her, that the fact that she disciplined him a lot actually helped him. And I said to him, I just said to both the parents that he's an absolute credit to him. He's a credit to our sport, Terence. And I also said to his team, I'm not being egotistical like this, but I'm just saying I've said this for a long time. You know me, I give advice to people from my own meandering experience, and it's a genuine thing when I say it. For ages, I've said, step out and be a mainstream star, not just a mainstream star in boxing. And I think Terence is finally doing that. And we're seeing his personality. And those back and forths with Eddie are part of that. And all it does is makes him a more fascinating figure. I don't think he dislikes Eddie. I think he's fascinated by it. Bit like Canelo saying to him on the little clips this week, "You're fucking using my name. You're using my fucking name all over the place." Eddie's doing a great job. It's better that they're all having these back and forths. Eddie's the biggest individual figure on social media in terms of promoters. I mean, Oscar's brilliant as well, by the way, not Oscar Bevis, Oscar De La Hoya. Not that your Oscar isn't brilliant. I don't know, he might be sitting in the room behind you. I better not be rude about him.
He's in Devon with his missus, Gareth.
Is he?
Yeah,
but basically, Eddie's doing a great job at the moment, and I thought he did a tremendous job out there last week.
Well, Gad, as always, I appreciate you. I'm sure we'll keep each other up to date on Jet Lag Chronicles. It is pouring down with rain, but I'm going to try and get a run in to try and shift this. And you know what, mate? I don't know about you, but and I think it's... You know what? I was going to say similar with every fight week. Last week was very different in that where the days were very intense, I feel like everyone would finish work and then they'd have a beer, and then it ended up you being 7 days of beers. So it's definitely weighing us down now.
No, definitely. Well, I also had that trip across the city back to Beverly Hills. Where were you staying? Were you in Beverly Hills?
Downtown. No, downtown.
Oh, you were in downtown. Yeah, it was great. I mean, again, like you say, it was brilliant. As I said at the top, it's great to hang out with everyone. Because there was a little bit of time to do that. We've got a tremendous few weeks ahead of us. Looking forward to seeing what Virgil Ortiz can do this weekend against Baranchuk. Is it Baranchuk? I think it's Baranchuk. I might have said his name wrong. The Ukrainian fighter. Obviously, that's back in Vegas, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. Bahanchuk.
Bahashuk. I'm really looking forward to that. And I've got a bit of bare knuckle to do next weekend in Cardiff. British bare knuckle that's been bought out by a huge American company. So looking forward to being involved in that next Friday, Saturday. Paralympics are coming up for me in August, and then bang, we're going to be into September and a massive month really with September and October.
Man like Gad.
Man like Parson.
Always a pleasure, brother.